Here's a review of a 2014 Buick Encore. It's an awesome, fun little car, has tons of technology in it, and it's just a great pleasure to drive. Let's check out the intro. Make sure to subscribe, like the video, and we'll see you on the other side of the intro. Here is the 2014 Buick Encore. It's also known as a Chevy Trax. Of course, this is a little bit nicer looking than the Chevy will be. And overseas, it's known as an Opel or a Vauxhall. I don't know if I'm saying that word right, Vauxhall. It looks like Vauxhall in English, but I know you guys over there pronounce it a little bit differently. But I'll put the other model names on the screen. But this car is kind of a international car. You see it in other markets. Pretty cool. I actually like the styling. It's kind of grown on me. When I first saw these cars, I straight up hated them. It looks good from this angle. It looks pretty sporty. But I always thought, like, man, they look... We'll get a side profile here. They're super short, stubby, and they're very tall. So I almost thought they looked like a fat version of like a smart car. But over time, man, especially this Buick, it looks really good, especially with the morning sun, guys. Look how good the paint looks. You know, this car is starting to grow on me quite a bit. And of course, it's a 2014, so it is a used car, but man, it doesn't feel like it's any older than a brand new car. So let's get into the styling, guys. Now, this car was facelifted, I believe, in 2017 for the 2017 models. So the looks of the car have changed a little bit, but man, this car already looks pretty sharp. So let's get into it. You have this blue on the headlight. Now the headlights are huge, but you have this blue circle here around the HID headlight. And then, oh my gosh, that's cool. So on the daylights, guys, it's really bright, so it's hard for me to see on the camera. But on the daylights down here, where's my finger? Holy cow, I can't see my screen. There's a Buick symbol. Yeah, you can see it. There's a Buick symbol there on the headlight, or the parking light. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Down here you have some nice fog lights. Nice little touch there. Here are the parking sensors. So this car does have parking assist. Now, it being a used car, it's going to rack up some dings. Now, it looks like the parking assist didn't deter the previous owner of getting too close to something while they're parking, but it is what it is. I like this little grille. It's a chrome grille with a nice chrome Buick emblem here. And then the hood looks pretty good. I think these look cheesy. Buick likes these cheesy little things they put on their car. Reminds me of something you'd get at like O'Reilly's or AutoZone, and trashy people put on their cars, and everyone knows they look trashy and they still do it. So, but let's continue the styling on the side here. So we have your turn signals here on the mirror. It's a nice function. Nice little feature there. And we have actually fairly large wheels here. I haven't looked to see what size they are, but they are sitting on 18s. I don't know if you guys can see that. 18-inch rims, which for a car of this size is impressive because the car is so small. We have chrome here on the door handles all the way around, and a nice chrome bottom part of the window. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to shield the camera as much as I can from the wind noise because as you can see, the trees are blowing. The water is moving quite strong on the lake today. So you guys can put a roof rack on here, no problem. And we have a nice little spoiler here. Now the cool thing about spoilers on crossovers is that they're actually functional. Looking here, with brake light, and that's actually, I think that's actually, can you guys see my finger? This is actually the camera here for the backup camera, which is kind of funny because I've never seen it that high on a vehicle before. The tail lights, they look okay. You have a nice chrome piece underneath the Buick emblem. Look how small this windshield wiper is. This is one of the smallest windshield wipers I've ever seen. Dinky Buick Encore. Now this is an all-wheel drive model, which again, guys, for a car this small and in its budget, I'm flabbergasted that you can get an all-wheel drive with all the safety features. You get a turbocharged inline four to 138 horsepower. You You get a 6-speed transmission, you get these huge 18-inch wheels. Like, you're just getting a lot in a really small, efficient package. And again, I apologize for my hands getting in the way of the camera. The wind is just crazy. We're gonna pop the hood here and see what's inside. We know that there's an inline 4, 138 horsepower turbocharged. When I was in here the other day, I couldn't find, here, I'm gonna need 2 hands to open up the hood, so hold on. Okay, so opening up the hood, there are no shocks, which you would expect in a vehicle at this price point, but I like how the stand for the hood is here off to the side, so if you needed to do some work on the engine, it's not kind of in the middle. And that CRV I did the other day, it was like right here, and it was like right in the middle of everything. So you can see a nice Buick emblem Ecotec on the motor. Again, it's a 1.4 liter turbocharged engine, 138 horsepower. That's got a good amount of torque, low in the rev range. It's got a full-size battery. That's impressive. So the battery in this car will probably last a long time because everything in here is so small. Cool little air box, air feeder there. But I would give this an A for the segment in terms of presentation and layout here in the engine compartment. Let's get on the inside of the 2014 Buick Encore. Immediately, the first thing I notice in getting in here is how high the seat is. You sit actually fairly high for how small the car is, and that's why a lot of people like this car, because you get a good height in the seat and in the car, although the vehicle's really small. So let's just get into the interior. We have a hard touch plastic here, a wood themed plastic here. This is totally plastic, but it looks like wood, right? A chrome handle, and then you have this soft touch leather here, and then this is very plasticky, but you know, it doesn't feel out of place or anything like that. This is how you change which mirror you want it to focus on, and then it also has this is a little joystick as well as a switch to focus on which mirror you want to move around. Here are your windows. I don't know if they're one touch yet since I haven't driven this car. And then your locks here. Your memory, so this does have memory seats. Now this is, again, the premium. So it is the creme de la creme for this car. You can't get a higher model than this car. So it does come with memory seats. Speaking of the seats, they're very comfortable. They are small, but they don't, as I'm sitting back into it, they don't feel like they're small. But they are not ventilated. They are heated though, which is a nice little feature. So you do get heated seats in this car. That's where they're at, but we'll get more into that in a second. You got some blue stitching on, if you guys can see that. You see that blue stitching? And then you also have like a silver stitching. I think this blue stitching looks kind of weird. And the only other place that I remember seeing that blue color is in the headlight display. But let's go ahead and start. So we have a fog light button here. And I kind of like this little knob. It's very straightforward. A lot of times when you see the lights, they're over here. Now they're still here in the sense that, your brights are there. But this is very straightforward. I kind of like the knob. This is how you control the brightness of your cluster here. Looking at the steering wheel, it's wrapped in leather. Stitching is okay. You can see the stitching. A nice Buick symbol here. And this is plastic here. We do have cruise control over here. And then we have a pre-collision system as well. So that's kind of nice to have. But when I first got in this car for the first time, this is the second time I've been in here, I was just kind of overwhelmed with the amount of luxury features in a car of this budget and this size and this segment. So I'm still impressed. We have lane keep or lane departure warning here, parking assist. I don't know what that is, guys. If you know what that is, let me know. It's a little guy with a lock around him. And then down here, we have a 12 volt. Now, I wish, like a Honda, it was labeled a little bit better. We have a 12 volt here. And this says auxiliary, but I don't know if you can even see that on the camera. I can barely read it. So you can see the USB as well as an auxiliary port there. I just wish they were labeled better. On the shifter here, pretty straightforward. This will light up in LCDs or LEDs, sorry, LED lights. And then this, you can also, once this is in drive, you can probably shift gears with these two buttons as well. We have an e-brake here with an accent and chrome button. I guess it's kind of fancy. Very simple cup holders here. But as you can see, this is all plastic around here, which is I expect for a vehicle in this segment. We have a double glove box. Something really small can fit in there. And then down here, normal sized glove box there. It does have a Bose sound system, so props to Buick and GM for putting a Bose sound system in here. This is a little storage compartment here, and it's not very big. It's little in every sense of the word. Okay, looking up, we have a few features here. How are we doing today, guys? I worked with the comb over today, so let me know what you think of the comb over. I don't know if you can see very well. SOS button. I'm trying to focus, guys. It's so dark in here. SOS button is here. OnStar is here. And then some sort of beams coming out that guy's head. Not sure what that is. That could be voice control. That's kind of a funny place. Because, voice control is down here. So I don't know. I don't know what that one is. We do have a nice little tiny sunroof. This is about the same size as the sunroof as I saw in the Honda CR-V that I reviewed last week. It's pretty small. You can see here, I can fold this forward, fold it back. The controls for it are going to be right up here on the ceiling. So you can tilt functions here and slide functions here. We have some map light buttons here. And then this is how you control the door lights, or how the lights light up in conjunction with the doors. All right, so let's turn this bad boy on. It is a traditional key. So no push button start in this car. And there we go. All right, there she goes. It's fired up. Let's see what it looks like on the LCD once that comes. Little welcome Buick IntelliLink. It's a mouthful. IntelliLink. Let's just make up our own words, Buick. All right. So tire pressure low. So it's gonna have by 1 psi. Really? Okay, that's funny. So we see here, tachometer here. We have our temperature gauge, fuel gauge, and then our speedometer. So let's see if I can figure out how to mess with the center cluster screen. I've been struggling lately in my reviews to figure out how to do the center cluster screen. So hopefully we can figure that out. Nope, I couldn't figure it out, guys. I spent a couple minutes trying to figure out how to mess with this screen here, and that's all I can figure out how to do. Here we go. So if you look at this screen, guys, it's too far away for it to be a touch screen, even though it looks like a touch screen. I believe it's this button here that you can twist. You can twist here. Let me see if we can get both. And you can see how, as I'm twisting, it's changing the different selection. All right, so that's how you do that. Now, there also are different buttons on here. So this is an up button, down button, left, right, left and right. But wow, okay, so that's really confusing. So, okay, luckily there's a back button, so we'll go to back. So you see how this is a knob? It's also a button, but you don't push down on this button to select the button. You push down on the twisty portion of it. So let's see here. Let's just go to, let's go all the way down to more, for example. I have to push down on that to select more, which is kind of bizarre. Okay. So pretty interesting there. We have a radio screen here, and let's just go up to menu. Okay, so that's the menu. Now I could get lost in it, guys. It's a really small screen, but it kind of fits with the theme of the car. I'm not going to try to master this whole system, unfortunately, because it would probably take me a while. So it is what it is, and you guys will probably be able to figure out fairly quickly, you know, the whole navigation screen, the entertainment section as well. Let's move on. So I don't know how I feel about this. We have your climate control here, and it's kind of separated by the CD player. You have a heated steering wheel. That's pretty gnarly. Let's turn that off. I don't need that. But you can select the temperature of the heated steering wheel. I've never seen that quite before. Pretty interesting. You have your fan speed right here. And I like this little, it doesn't even look like a light because it's such a dim light. It's hard to explain, but it's pretty cool looking. You have your defrost buttons here, and then you have your normal temperature selection there. Above that is going to be, oh, okay. So this is kind of weird. So you have nav on 3 different buttons, which is, to me, that's confusing because I was pressing these buttons here I'm like, okay, maybe it'll take me to the nav screen. So there's the nav screen, and that's what the navigation looks like, guys. Really detailed for how small the screen is, and the resolution's pretty good. As you can see, to get to the menu, you have to press down on the scroller, but it's just poor implementation because it looks like you press this button, but no, you press down on the spinny version of it. Source is going to be so that's what the home screen looks like. That's what source looks like. We're not gonna play too much. There was the navigation, and then you have a phone muting button of some sort, or OnStar hands-free calling. That's what they call it. Anyways, so your radio controls and screen controls are all here. Your climate control is here. You can turn off traction control, but that's about it for the front cabin. Let's get in the back. Just kidding. There's a tiny storage compartment here. It's actually not that small, but it's in a small vehicle. This is a very funny storage compartment here on the side of the door. These could be pretty functional, but they're still weirdly designed. Let's go ahead and get in the back. Let's get on the back. Okay, so like the front doors, the back doors are similar, but we don't have that plastic wood, which is kind of weird. Remember that plastic wood up on the front there? I don't know why it wouldn't be back here as well. That's kind of odd because it's just plastic, or at least it feels plastic. What if it is real? It doesn't. It just feels like plastic. Anyways, window control here. Again, similar theme with the door, and you have this weird storage compartment, and then another somewhat strange storage compartment down there. I don't know what you could really fit down there. Maybe some papers or something. A map pocket here. It's one of the smallest map pockets I've ever seen. Now these seats out back here are very, very comfortable. I will say that. They're very comfortable. You could fit 3 people back here. Now you're gonna have to move these seats forward. You can see this seat is pretty far back, but you could move it forward quite a bit. And this seat would have to be moved forward quite a bit if your person back here is 6 feet tall or taller. I missed the armrest up here. So the driver gets an armrest, the passenger does not. We have a couple cup holders back here, again with a removable insert for larger drinks, which is, you know, if you guys like large drinks. But there's not a lot going on back here. It is fairly roomy, but let's see how these seats fold down. Okay guys, this is bizarre. So the door's unlocked, right? Because that's locked. I'll pull the lever, it unlocks the door, but I'm locked in the back seat of this car on both ends. So I'm gonna have to crawl to the front and figure out how to get out of this car, because this is very strange that I'm locked in the back. I just figured it out. So you remember that weird button I was talking about earlier? And I'm like, oh, you know, if you guys know what this weird person in a lock means, you can lock the rear doors. So, you know, if you pick up, you know, someone and you don't want them to get out the back, or you're strangely controlling and you don't let your or your children are just out of control because for whatever reason, you press this button and you lock the rear doors. I don't know why you would, because once you start driving, the rear doors are going to lock anyways. But that was kind of the scariest moment of my life, guys, right there, being trapped in the back seat of a Buick Encore that's already pretty small. And you can see I'm in the middle seat here. I'm spread eagle a bit, and you know, my knees are still running into the chairs. So if you have to put people back here, it's really comfortable except for this space. The seats are great. So let's open up the back here. There's a handle down here at the bottom. There's a button in here, but you have to raise it up, which is very easy because it has two big shocks on one on each end. It does have a nice little tonneau cover here that lifts with the tailgate. You can see how much space there is. I'm very surprised how much space there is for a car of this size. It also comes with a little tiny light back here. And then if we pull this, that's where all of your papers are, at least the manuals, it looks like, for the car. So we're just going to keep those in there. There are some hooks for, you know, if you guys want to hook some things down. But I am pretty impressed. This car does come with all-weather mats, and these are some of the smallest floor mats I've ever seen, which is kind of cute. All right, but that's it for the back. Now I wanted to show you guys how to fold down the back seats, which I will, but I'm going to have to move this seat forward here. Gonna have to move it forward quite a bit. Now it is a power seat, so that's the benefit, and it actually moves really quick. You know, sometimes on power seats, or they just don't move very quickly, as quickly as I'd like them to. But now that the seats move forward, I just want to see what the space or the feeling's like here. Oh my gosh! Okay, so there's actually quite a bit of leg room once the seats are all the way moved forward. You can see down here that this is a budget-minded vehicle at its core, because look how exposed the seat rails are. And I forgot to mention, guys, there's actually a real plug-in back here. So if you wanted to plug in a laptop, there's 150 watts of power back here, which is very, very impressive. And I don't know, you know, most of the time this is probably never going to be used, but heck, this would be a decent road trip car because you can plug stuff in. So let's go ahead and fold down this back seat. Now, I'm going to pull this tab down here. That's going to move this forward. I can do it with one hand, and that moves the seat all the way forward. All right, you can see how light this is. The seat is at its core is made out of styrofoam. That's kind of interesting. And then I'm going to pull this lever here, move it forward, move the seat belt. Now I'm going to have to move this down all the way. So let me pause real quick so I move the headrest down. With the headrest down, it fits very cleanly here, and I'm going to move to the other side and fold this down so you guys get a full picture of the utility of this vehicle. Okay, so I was able to put this seat forward without moving this seat that far forward either. So you can see the passenger seat is slid farther forward, and this was able to still fold down, but I might have to, hold on, I might have to bring the other seat all the way forward, which I will. So we have the back seats fully folded down, and you can see it's smooth here. There's actually a little bit of drop from the back portion to this middle portion of the car, but there's quite a bit of space here, and I'm going to give you guys into perspective from the back. So quite a bit of space, as you guys can see, all the way to the front seats. And what's crazy about this is, yeah, I had to move the seats forward, but I sat in both of the seats up there, and I still have plenty of leg room being 6'1" with the rear seats folded down. So if you're worried, guys, that, hey, you know, I'm gonna have to move the seats forward because you know, it's a small car and the seats won't fold down, and I don't know if I want to take trips in this car hauling a lot of stuff, you'll be able to, unless you're like 6'6". Okay, if you're around 6 foot or shorter, you're gonna have no problem folding the rear seats down and being comfortable in the front seats. The backup camera does not have any lines on it. It's not the highest resolution, but it does have a little fisheye effect like most backup cameras that give you a pretty good sense of where you're at. Now, already just driving this car, this is the first time I've driven it and backed it up. There's a very good sense of maneuverability. Like, this car is really small, and it's going to be very easy to throw around parking lots, to go shopping in, And like with all the seats folded down, like I showed just a little bit ago, the car is going to be extremely utilitarian from point A to point B, city going, and you're going to get okay mileage. Now for a car this small, you would expect to get better gas mileage than it does. I've heard people saying they're only getting about high 20s to low 30s miles per gallon in a car this small. Visibility in here, guys, is pretty good for a small car. The windshield is small, the windows are fairly large in comparison. I like the natural light coming in from the sunlight. When I look back in my blind spot, this car is so small that, you know, I'm not gonna have too big of a blind spot back there. And behind me to the left, there is a little bit of a blind spot. It's kind of hard to see behind my left shoulder and what's back there. It doesn't help that we have a big window sticker on there, but it is what it is. Visibility, I would say overall, is probably like a B plus for a car of this segment and size. So we're gonna get onto the throttle just a little bit. Okay, so this 1.4 liter turbocharged engine with 138 horsepower is going to be plenty enough. Even when you put a lot of people in this car, it's gonna be able to move a car of this size and weight very easily. I would give it a quick. I'd explain it as quick. It's not fast, but it's spunky, and anytime you have a decent amount of horsepower in a small car, it always feels way faster than it actually is. I don't know why. On the other end of the spectrum, when you have a lot of power in a large car, even though it's moving kind of fast, like for example the LS 500 or the 460 we have, well the 500 is a lot faster than the 460, but 460 has almost 400 horsepower V8 RLS Lexus, and that car, man, when you get into the gas, it accelerates. I mean, you see the gas or the speedometer moving quick, but okay, let's focus on this car. Okay, it shifts kind of not as smoothly as I'd like it to, but it is a budget car. This car also has about 78,000 miles, I want to say. So the previous owners, I spoke to them, and they drove to a little cabin they had in north central Nebraska every weekend. So this is a little escape car. This would be perfect for just little tiny road trips like that. It is comfortable. You have good visibility. You're going to get pretty good gas mileage on the highway. Like I said, it's probably going to be in the low 30s on the highway. But this car doesn't really like to downshift that much. I really had to lay into the pedal to get it to downshift on the on-ramp. So this car has blind spot monitors, which is very impressive for a vehicle of this price point. So very impressed with Buick and GM for putting all these safety features in this car. It's really impressive, and I can't commend them enough for doing that. I don't know if that's becoming like an industry standard to have blind spot monitors, but we have so many customers always asking for blind spot monitors, and you can really only get them or find them on much newer cars. So this is a 2014, it's 4 years old, and it has blind spot monitors, so I'm pretty impressed. Road noise isn't too bad. I just drove by a fairly large truck, and it wasn't any louder than the Honda Pilot that I drove yesterday. That thing was pretty darn loud on the inside. I could hear all the rain just smashing down into the car. At least it felt like it was smashing down the car because it was so loud. But yeah, I would say now that cars are passing me, this car is quite a bit quieter than a Honda Pilot. I don't know why, it just is. So keep that in consideration when getting this car. Is hey, it's actually pretty quiet when you're on the road. This car does have a little bit of natural vibration. It's not in the steering wheel or anything like that. And it's probably because my leg is resting against the center console here, so I'm feeling just about every single vibration in the road. When I take my leg off of that, it doesn't feel quite as vibey, but there is a little vibration in this car, and it has nothing to do with the engine or the steering or the suspension or anything. Well, it does have to do something with the suspension, but there's nothing wrong with it. That's just how this car is. It's just a little bit vibration-y, but it's something I could definitely live with, no problem. It is a 4-cylinder, so I drive my wife's Toyota Matrix quite often. This car, at idle, it doesn't have that much vibration as that car, but on the road, it feels like it does have a decent amount of vibration, but it's something you could totally live with. We're going to get off here. This is our brake test coming up, so I'm kind of excited to see what the brakes feel like on a car of this size. So I'll give you guys some feedback as I get into the brakes. Right about now, I'm going about 60 down this hill. Brakes are strong. A little vibration in the pedal, pretty linear, and I can't really ask much more for the brakes on this vehicle. So they came on strong, and I was expecting them to fade a little bit as I was progressing down in the pedal length, but it kept. Let's get on the throttle here. Let's get on the throttle. The brakes, I would give it like a solid B+, A-. They're that good. Yeah, this car picks up great, guys. Just went up the hill to kind of get out in front of the car that was coming, and it moves perfectly well with one person in here. When you load this car up, it's going to be obviously a tiny bit slower like any car, but I'm actually impressed with its pickup. Now, I haven't even revved this thing even close to its red line, and it has really good torque because of the turbocharged engine. So here, we're going to get in the twisties, and I'll kind of explain what the steering feels like. Now, this car, it looks like it's top heavy, but we'll see. I'll just kind of go around the hairpin here. Okay, there is quite a bit of body roll, but not any more than I was expecting. So pretty good for the handling on this car. I'm still carrying speed, so this kind of reminds me of, you might think I'm crazy, a little bit of my old Miata that I used to have. Is just that these little cars, they just like to carry the momentum through the turns, and they just go, man. You point it in the direction it's just going to go. It has a little bit of body roll, which you expect for a car this short and this tall, but man, I'm really impressed with how this car drives overall, and the budget of this vehicle being more of a budget-minded vehicle. It handles well, it has good torque and a good amount of power with that 4-cylinder turbo. But we made it to our destination, guys, to finish up this review. Hey guys, so driving this on the freeway, I'm going to try to get close to this semi so you guys can get an idea of how annoying this forward collision system is. Now, I'm not going to hit this car, but you know, I'm a good amount of speed away. It hasn't even gone off yet. It's gone off so many different times, and I haven't been that close to the vehicle. I'm like 10 feet away from this semi right now, and it didn't go off. So it's not a very good system. I hope there's a way to turn it off. If there is, and you have this car, I would highly recommend turning it off, because it pops up here and it's like beep 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 to let you know that you're not even close to a collision. And that time with that truck, I was actually pretty close to him, super close to him, and it didn't go off. So Chevy's got, hopefully they figured it out since 2014 to better implement that pre-collision system. Thumbs it up for the review of the 2014 Buick Encore. I can't believe how much technology and amenities they packed in this car at this price point. It's a decent looking car. Some of you might think it's hideous. It's grown on me over time. And just the utility of this car as well. It's going to get decent gas mileage. You can fold down the rear seats and put a lot of stuff back here. This one comes in all-wheel drive. You got a nice spunky turbocharged engine. I mean, it ticks most boxes most people want. Totally understand why people are buying the heck out of these vehicles, as well as the Chevy Trax. It just, like I said, it ticks a lot of those boxes at a good price point. And this car has about 78,000 miles, and it's running, to me, like it feels brand new. Sorry for the wind noise, guys. Put a like and a comment down below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next review.